Hello, Gareth here, and maybe you don't know, but I'm a watercolor artist, and this is a video about this fantastic brush. It's called a cat's tongue or a pointed oval, and I'm going to show you in this video what you can do with this fantastic brush. I bought this about 4 weeks ago and I was so what can I say? Let's not exaggerate, but I just found this to be a really great brush. Fantastic. And I'm going to show you in this video a few things you can do with it. But before we get on with that, maybe I have to explain why I'm wearing these headphones. So it's not a fashion statement. The reason is the sound is really good, and they only cost $20. So I hope you don't mind, but sound is important and this price is unbelievably cheap, so that's why I'm wearing these. But let's get on with the lesson. So you need these two brushes, this one pointed oval or a cat's tongue, and this liner brush. But if you haven't got this kind of brush, then use a quill brush or a mop brush, but a bit smaller than this one, yeah? Or if you haven't got one of them, use a round brush. And if you haven't got one of them, just use whatever you've got. And if you haven't even got any brushes, well, maybe use a toothbrush. Just joking. Well, actually, some artists do use toothbrushes, but for splattering. But it was a joke. Okay, enough of the bad jokes. Now for the paints. We're going to use 4 paints. We're going to use yellow ochre. Yeah. And we're going to use permanent alizarin crimson. So yeah. Okay. And we're going to use cobalt blue. Okay. So normally I use phthalo blue, but I have run out of phthalo blue, so I'm using cobalt blue, which is a shame because this is quite expensive. And I'm using this yellow, and this is a lovely yellow, but it's not a lovely name, sadly. Can you pronounce that? I can't. Imidazolone lemon, maybe. But anyway, important point, if you haven't got these colours, don't worry, just use whatever you've got, the nearest equivalents, yeah? So use a blue, any blue that you've got, use any red you've got, use any yellow you've got, and use any kind of yellowish brownish colour that you hopefully have. Okay, so what we're going to paint first of all is this. So this brush, ta-da, this one is fantastic for painting autumn trees, which I'm going to show you, and it's also fantastic for painting fir trees. It really is good. Painting grass, I'm still not sure about that, but we will have a go at painting some grass and painting a bit of a sky scene. So that's what we're going to do in this video, and then if you've had a lot of fun with that, in part 2 we're going to use what we've learned and paint this picture. So we've got an autumn tree here and we've got some fir trees, and hopefully you'll be ready to paint these now and a bit more experienced, yeah? So the first part is like a warm-up for this, and then after you've done that, part 3 is we're going to paint a snow scene. And it's basically the same scene, yeah? We've got the autumn tree and we've got the fir trees, but I've just changed it into a snow scene. Just a minute, I'm having microphone problems. Okay, let's continue. And this sky, this beautiful sky, I saw this a few days ago, and it was actually snowing on that day, and it was so beautiful. I just thought, I've got to paint that sky. And then I had the idea of using this scene and just turning it into a snow scene. So that's a bit of my process, which might be interesting, might not be. But let's get on with the video and have some fun. So this is part 1, and we're going to be doing this and getting used to this new brush, and hopefully I'll have a link at the bottom to Dick Blick Art Store or Amazon or something where you can buy this brush. But I have to make a disclaimer. This brush I bought from my art store, so the brush I suggest to you will be a pointed oval, but I'm not sure it's going to be exactly like this. Yeah, so you might want to have a look at some other brushes and then make your own choice. Yeah, okay, let's begin. So what we're going to do is something like this. So first of all, I'll do this sky. So okay, and I'm not prepared, goodness me. Okay, cobalt blue. I'm using cobalt blue because I haven't got any other kind of blue, which is a bad idea because it's quite expensive compared to phthalo blue, which is my favorite, and cheap, very cheap. Okay, so I'm just going to get some blue like that, and let's do this here. I'm using just multimedia paper because it's half the price of watercolor paper, and especially for practicing it looks good. I've done some really good paintings on this kind of paper, and this is just pure water now. Well, it's a little bit tinted and that's fine. So there we go. And you can do a sky very easily like that. So very, very simple sky. And then doesn't look as good as this one, but there you go. At least I'm honest. Then I'm going to use some of this yellow that I can't pronounce. And watch this. This brush is great. So I'm splaying the hairs, and then I'm just going to flick up like this. Well, actually, that's not that great. Okay. So. But still, it looks like grass. So that's not as good as I really wanted it to look, but there you go. But you still get a kind of grassy feel, and you can do these lovely thin lines. Look at that. So it's good in that way. You can get like thick lines or something like that, and then you can do thin lines. So that's quite good. And then we can do some more grass down here. Like that. Yeah, it's looking a bit strange. And then I might just get some yellow ochre and just a few touches, maybe here, 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 like that. And there we go, some kind of grass. Now hopefully this will dry. It's not actually drying that quickly, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to help it. Don't do this. I'm doing this because I want to do this whole video in one go, in one clip, and also I just want to do a quick sketch for you here. Something you can do in about 10 or 15 minutes. So next it's the fir trees. So I get some of my blue, I get some of this red, come on red, and then some of this maybe I'll use yellow ochre for a stronger, a kind of musty green, and that's looking brown because I've got too much red. So start again, blue, whoops, some yellow ochre, and it's really not going green, is it? Interesting. Oh, it's beginning to go green now. So I'm going to just take some of this yellow, big dollop. There we go. That's how you get the green. Yellow and blue. I should know that by now. Okay, and then let's do these trees. So thin at the top. And you see how lovely this brush is for doing these tree shapes, for doing fir trees. Look at that. I mean, that's really easy to do, and it looks good. You have to admit. Maybe you don't. Okay, so I'm really happy with that. I think that looks really good. And I might do another one. Of course, one will always look more powerful than maybe doing two, but practice is also important, and this is what I'm doing here is practice. So this is a smaller one. It's very important they're not both the same size. It just doesn't look good in terms of composition. And then this will just make this a bit darker at the bottom, blue and red for that, that's all. And then it looks just the same, but that's okay. And there we go. Very, very nice. Now what we can do is we can get some pure yellow, and this is where I kind of like, maybe I'm not really a good watercolor artist in some respects, because for me it's more important to just play around and have fun and try things than be very careful. So, and I do tend to be a bit heavy with the paint, which you might have noticed. I'm going to come down here with this pure yellow, and I'm going to let it run down, and maybe this is called charging, and I have to be careful because soon it can be too much. And I just think that looks nice, and it looks like it's being lit. The sun is hitting it from the side, so I think that's nice. And do this one. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I quite like that. It might spread more than I wanted. I perhaps did too much. Now over here I'm going to do an autumn tree. So you can see I've got a bit of a run there. You don't really want them, but I'm just going to be honest with you here. I think the less you worry about things like that, and just the more you paint, that's the most important thing. And to be honest, I've got to a point now where some of my favorite paintings have these kind of marks in them, because sometimes I do a painting that's so, it can be perfect, but it can just look dead. And sometimes if it's got these little marks and runs in them, it can look like it's got a bit more energy and life in it. I know, so ironic, right? You spend most of your time not trying to do that, and then you end up eventually 20 years later deliberately trying to make those kind of marks. So I recommend have fun, play, make a mess, and I guarantee if you just keep going, those great paintings will come. And the more you just enjoy it and play around, the more you'll get really, really good paintings. But anyway, preaching over for now. So I'm going to make a tree. Trees are generally brown in colour, so I need blue, red and yellow ochre. And the more yellow ochre I've got, the more brown it's going to look. Look, you can see that, right? And I think already that's good. But if I add some blue, how does it become? Yeah, let's add some red, see what happens. Wow, look at that. Purple tree. No, I don't really want it purplish. It's a bit too purple. Okay, bit more blue. And there we go. Now watch this. Now this is a bit wet, and this is too but let's just do this. So tree coming up like that. Oh, it's dried quite a bit, and then it splits up like this. So this branch looks a bit strange, so I'm just correcting it, and then comes out at the bottom right. And then this is where this brush is wonderful, because look, you can do these thick branches like this, but then you can start to do thin ones like that. Look at that. It's so economical, isn't it? One brush does everything. And that's quite nice, isn't it? That sky and that tree. You always want to be looking at things and just being honest with yourself, like, oh, that looks good, and try to remember it, because remembering those things, that's what will make you, it will develop your visual ability. You'll develop an eye for what's beautiful, what works, and then you'll start to gradually, it does take a long time, but eventually you'll start to include that in your own original paintings. And so it's always important to look at things and say, oh, that's good, and remember it. Maybe even ask, why is it good? But that can sometimes be difficult to answer. Oh yeah, and maybe that's enough. Okay, yeah, I like that. It's good. Maybe we'll do a bit of a shadow. You might not get a shadow, to be honest, in reality, because it might get hidden amongst the grass, but sometimes I will add one, because it kind of makes it feel like the tree is not just floating around. It gives it some kind of feeling of being fixed and there. Now I might just get some yellow ochre and just do a few touches for grass like this, and a few here like that. Nothing special, just very simple, and that's it. I think that's about it. I could leave this, but I want to show you something else you could do, and you don't have to do it, but it's just a fun thing I learned. So in order to show you this new thing, I need to get rid of some of this moisture quickly. Normally I'd just wait, but it's going to take a long time, so I'm just taking up this wet water with a dry brush, and that's maybe okay now. Give it a bit more time and do the same here. So just taking up that wet paint. It's too wet. Okay, and then do a bit of grass there. I'm going to show you the next thing that I might do here. I need a thick mix, a dark mix, so blue and then just red, and really thick. It's almost difficult to mix, it's that thick. And the reason I made it so thick is because this is quite wet, and it's going to spread out, and I don't want it to spread much at all. But what I'm going to do now is like a few shadows in here like this, look, and it's just a crisscrossy shape like Z's going down. I might do a dot here and a dot here, and then let's try and do this one. Now this is just a thing I came across, and I'm still not sure if it's a good technique or not, but I quite like it. Zigzaggy, and then just a few dots here, and I think that just looks very interesting. So that was just an extra thing, and I might sometimes do a little bit of a dot here, a few dots here, and I think it gives it a realistic three-dimensional look. And here it's dried a bit, so I might just redo that. And so you've got this variety now in the tree. You've got a little bit of light yellow here, but then dark here. It might all run. I might have done this too soon, but I still think it looks good, and I just wanted to show you that. So this is just a quick sketch and just a chance for you to have some fun. So have a go, and then if you're up for it, there's going to be part 2, and we're going to take these techniques and we're going to paint this scene. And by the way, if you found this video good, then please like, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That's all. Bye for now.